Hi guys, there are no South African teams in Super Rugby action this weekend, but Ryan, obviously the big news of the week is looking ahead to the first test of the year. Springboks playing Wales in the US, and the team announcement does reveal quite a bit. When we look at it,
Greg, can I just stop you for a second? The big news of this week is your conversion to full Cape Townian. As a Durban boy, this beard that you're growing now is very Cape Townian, and I approve. Now, what we have to do, and before we get into the test, is we've got to get you down to Bree Street, get you a 350 Rand blade fade, and buy you a vape. And then the evolution will be complete. But I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of the Durban boy becoming a Cape Townian in its fullest.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to be a bit more like you, my style guru.
I wish I could. Anyway, about the test.
About the test, yeah, just to get back on track. A team that I think is quite expected. It's like a second string side. It's a bit of a silly test match, really.
Yeah.
The big 3-test series against England is what it's all about. But the big indicators are Peter Steph du Toit captaining and starting. I thought he might be in the mix as a run-on player for the first England test. So I can't see any guys that are featuring prominently in this test against Wales coming back with a long travel and also playing against England in a starting role. So I don't think Peter Steph will be starting next weekend against England. And other things to notice: Jesse Creel as well and Wilco Lowe, guys who I thought might be in contention for that first test against England. Instead, they're starting against Wales.
I'm starting to still, come to terms with what this test actually achieves, outside of commercial opportunities for SA Rugby and USA Rugby. I don't know. I was equally surprised about Peter Steph's inclusion in this tour. I thought for sure that as the vice captain he would start, and I feel like just in terms of the way Rassie wants to play, Peter Steph would be critical. But clearly, there's an indication here that Rassie might be going in a different direction. Interesting for me also is Cohen Bosch starting against ahead of Warwick Gelant. We can, at this point, we're only making educated guesses about what's going to happen, but I'm thinking probably Gelant is going to be on the bench next week. I can't see Cohen Bosch making that squad against for the first test against England. For me, Gelant is the better fullback and more rounded fullback. So I would have started him there. And then the one other talking point is something that we raised in the past. Elton Janchi starting ahead of Rob Dupree. I would have gone the other way around, but clearly Rassie's got his plans. The kind of hierarchy is being established through these selections now. So it'll be interesting going into next weekend.
Yeah, but like you say, certainly some hints at what we can see next weekend, educated guesses. So I'm just going to run through the team that I think we're likely to see start against England. You can correct me if you think it's gone wrong at any point. But I think in that front row we'll see Beast. Bismarck is playing in a top 14 final this weekend, but I think he'll have to come in for Malcolm Marx as a like-for-like. Trevor Nyakani, quite interesting that he stayed behind in South Africa, so they might be looking at him as the tight head, whereas I thought he's that perfect swinger prop on the bench who can play loose head or tight head. A completely new lock combination is likely to be Marcia Snyman and Franco Mostert. For me, Franco being picked in most likelihood ahead of Peter Steph is a little bit surprising. And then the loose trio is probably selects itself Dwayne Vermeulen at 8 and Jean-Luc Dupree and Sia Khaleesi, the new Springbok captain, making up the flanks.
On the face of it, for me, it's a good, I wouldn't say well-balanced trio, but it's in terms of how Rassie wants to play. It was surprising for me that he would pick a 6 that doesn't play towards the ball. That's not Sia's natural game. But you just look at the teams that he's selected in the past. For instance, with the Cheetahs, Brousseau was his guy. And then when he was director of rugby at the Stormers, Francois Lowe was his guy at 6. And so he's going in a different tactical direction. And look, we might see that dimension of Sia's game come through. We haven't yet. But perhaps under the tutelage of Rassie, that comes to the fore. But that makes it critical that Bismarck starts then. That's not a strength of Sia's game, but Bismarck almost acts, I mean, we've seen it throughout his career, acts as an additional loose forward at that breakdown situation. So for me, it would make sense that Bismarck starts in that context. Your inside centre also critical there, and that I think is a talking point, right, that you want to raise.
Yeah, I think just looking at with the backline, I think we'll probably run out. Faf de Klerk seems like the obvious choice at scrum half, Andre Pollard at 10. And then, yeah, like we say, probably at 12 they're looking at Damien Delende, Frans Steyn. Do they bring Frans Steyn straight back from a top 14 final? I don't think they'll rush him back. I think Damien Delende is the solid option at 12. But interestingly then, Lukhanyo Am, guys remain in South Africa, maybe, you know, that indicates he's got the edge over Jesse Kriel at 13. Yeah. I'm very excited about that. I think he's a top quality player. I think he deserves that number 13 jersey. Probably Willie Leroux, spent a bit of time now in Bok camp after coming back from overseas. I think he'll take the number 15 jersey over Gelant. The two wings probably pick themselves, Spoon Corsi and Piwe Dianti. I think Willie Leroux at fullback is essential because if you've got two rookies on the wing, you need a little bit of experience, and I think Willie will add that.
So the balance of that back three concerns me a little bit, but not so much against Wales. I think going forward, England might look to expose us, particularly under the high ball. Those three players aren't renowned for that aspect of the game. I'm not saying they're weak at it, but they aren't renowned. I think on attack, particularly from broken field, a back three like that is extremely exciting. And I mean, we have to see how they go, really, before we make any absolute judgments on them. But the talking point for me is that midfield combination that you raised. I completely agree with you about Am, fantastic player. On his inside, I would go with Frans Steyn. I think we've spoken at length about Damien Delende. I feel he's a good Super Rugby player, really consistent Super Rugby player, but he's been given opportunities to step up, and I just feel like it's a step too far for him. I would start Francois Steyn. The prospect of a Steyn-Am combination across the board from a defensive perspective and on attack, the type of opportunities that Steyn's hard running will create for Am on his outside, for me is an exciting one, and I'd like to see that happen. So the likelihood is that Rassie probably won't rush him back, but I'd like to see him start.
Yeah. I think just finally then, let's look at the prediction for the Wales test. For me, it's almost a disappointing test match in that you've got a second string Bok team, a Wales team also hit by injury, so you've got like two weakened teams. It's almost like a warm-up match for the real stuff that's to come. But regardless, it maybe is just an opportunity to get the wheels in motion for some of the Bok players and Rassie himself. I think the Boks will just manage to be a slightly better team, motivated under a new coach, maybe a win 7 to 10.
I'm going on the opposite side. I think like so many new combinations, so many rookie players for these Boks. Under a new coach, learning a new tactical philosophy, that takes time. So the core of the side has the potential to be really exciting. But I think at this stage of their development, it's a step too far for them. I think they would lose by the reverse margin, you say. I think they'll lose by 7 to 10, this particular side. But I'm just happy to be watching something other than not so Super Rugby, to be quite honest with you. Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks, Ryan. I'm going to just head to Bree Street now to get that haircut.
Good man.